Hello, and welcome to our four-part series on the intelligent intranet. My name is Mike Holste, and I'm a product marketing manager for the next generation productivity and usage team in the modern workplace at Microsoft. And my job is to show you new, cool, and exciting ways that you can power your intelligent intranet. And that's where SharePoint and Microsoft 365 come in. We're going to show you how to accelerate your journey to build functional, responsive, and valuable sites that are dynamic by nature and, best of all, don't require any code. So we welcome you to join us on our four-part series. We're going to cover how you can explore what's possible, align key stakeholders, implement all of these changes with low or no code solutions, and engage and speed up the time of engagement and adoption for your users. And you'll hear from our friends at Standard Bank, the largest bank in Africa, who's recently completed their own build of their intranet. And they'll be with us every step of the way to share the lessons learned, share best practices, and help us on our own journey. So let's get going. We've heard about the 4 stages of intranet building: explore, align, implement, and engage. And today we're going to focus on explore. I'm excited to invite Matt Wolodarsky, a senior program manager here at Microsoft, to share some of the details of what's possible. Over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Mike. So I'm Matt, and I'm a program manager within the OneDrive and SharePoint customer engineering organization here at Microsoft. My focus is on helping our customers be successful with their intranets, as well as SharePoint and other Office 365 related scenarios. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the aspects of this intranet journey that is my favorite, and that is the art of the possible. This is where you get to help inspire your colleagues to think creatively and boldly in different ways that they can use the intranet and, more broadly, technology to help them achieve their important business goals. And it really starts with sharing those possibilities, the different things in which an intranet can help them accomplish. And then you need to show them how all of this can come together, how these possibilities can be realized through the building blocks of SharePoint and of your intranet. And so with that, let's dig a little bit deeper. So most people who are not steeped in internet scenarios or intranet technologies are often quite surprised with all of the different ways that an intranet can help them accomplish their goals. Intranets are not just about what they've traditionally been, and that is providing top-down information that corporate communications or the senior management team want their employees to know. In today's modern intranet, there's really 3 main areas of value, and I'm going to walk through some of these with some specific examples. So the first area of value is enabling effective communications across the organization. And this could include something as reaching a broad audience, using any device, working from anywhere with engaging and relevant content. It could also include, though, scenarios where you need to keep people informed and progressing during times of crises. The other key pillar is connecting people with relevant knowledge and information. And that could include connecting subject matter experts in a community site of sorts where they can share ideas and share their expertise. Additionally, connecting people to insights through some sort of knowledge network is a popular scenario in this area. And then finally, one of the main areas of value for an intranet, and I think oftentimes is most associated with an intranet, is around employee engagement. And this can start as early as new employees onboarding to the organization. We want to make sure that we're supporting and keeping them engaged throughout what can be a bumpy process for new employees as they look to onboard effectively to that new company that they're joining. It's also a way to keep people informed and engaged with company news, what's happening across the organization. So across these 3 areas of value, really there's an endless number of scenarios. You'll see some of them in a scenario carousel that's available on this site. And we're going to be hearing later on from Standard Bank on how they we're able to inspire their stakeholders and get their participation. So to make these scenarios a reality, we need some building blocks. And there's 4 main ones in particular that you're going to need and that SharePoint provides out of the box. First up is organizational news. And this is a news distribution service within SharePoint that allows communicators to inform and engage people in the organization through announcements and important company news. It's really a way to keep everyone up to date with what's happening across the organization. Next up, we have communication sites, and this is how communicators can reach a broad audience with their message or with their programs or projects. So it's really targeted for broad audiences within an organization. Next up is the home site, and this is the top level site for your organization. This is where ideally all of your employees are going to start their day. And then finally, we have hub sites, and hub sites are a way to organize your intranet, but at the same time, be able to easily and quickly restructure that intranet as inevitable organization change occurs. So my colleague Debjani in a minute is going to be joining us to give you a demo of these building blocks and much, much more. But before doing that, I did want to point out a great resource that I think can help with this act of inspiring. And that resource is the SharePoint Lookbook that we're looking at right here. It's an amazing source of inspiration. It's something that you can go to today to discover many different types of intranet sites, as well as many different types of beautiful SharePoint designs. And what is really great about this site is it's not just about going and getting inspired. If you find site templates and designs that you really, really like and that are relevant to your organization, you can actually, from the lookbook, install them into your tenant environment very quickly, very easily, and then use those as a starting point to show your colleagues on how these tools and these intranet capabilities can be used firsthand in your organization. So you can almost put together a quick mock-up reflecting the look and feel of your organization with your logo to, again, help inspire your colleagues on the possibilities. With that, let's show you how all of this works. I'm going to introduce my colleague Debjani Mitra, who's going to show you some very cool demos. Over to you, Debjani.
Hi, I'm Debjani Mitra. I am a program manager on the SharePoint team. Now, SharePoint News allows you to create visually beautiful content really easily that contains dynamic information and is easily distributed across Microsoft's apps and experiences. So here we are on the Leadership Connection site. This is the site where Contoso employees come to connect with the leadership at the company. Now, this site is a source of organization news. Let me explain. When a news post is published on this site, it is distributed broadly to all employees in their SharePoint start page and their SharePoint mobile app. And no matter where that news post shows up, it has a special visual treatment behind the site name, similar to what you see here with the highlighting, that indicates that the news post is authoritative and draws the audience in. So in this scenario, I'm a member of the corporate communications team, and I want to create a new news post announcing a hackathon for North America employees. So all I need to do is click on New and then say News Post. Now you can see that SharePoint provides 3 out-of-the-box page templates, and I can click in to get a handy preview of what that template entails. But the corporate communications team has also been able to create custom templates for this site, as you can see up here. Page templates are a great way to enforce a consistency in look and feel across organization news. So in this case, since I'm announcing a hackathon, I'm going to go with the company initiative template. And let's go ahead and create that news post. So here, notice that a new news post got created with web parts already there, a layout already there, and with placeholder content. Let's now dive in and flesh this out. First, I'm going to give this news post a name, North America Hackathon. And next, I'm going to replace the placeholder banner image. So to do that, I can click on Change Image. And you can see that SharePoint gives me a number of different sources here from where I can pull my images. In fact, one of the big advantages of using SharePoint News is that you can get your images from so many different sources, tell your story in a really visually compelling way. So you can use stock images. Microsoft recently acquired thousands of beautiful high quality images for you to be able to use entirely royalty free throughout your intranet. Of course, you can use web search. You can use organization assets. These are approved assets from your organization that any author of a page or news post can use. You can upload from OneDrive, from this site, from your computer, and from a link. So in this case, we're going to use stock images. And I'm going to search for computer. And I like this image for a hackathon, so let's select that. Great. Next, to fill out this text web part. So, of course, I can type directly in here, and SharePoint provides a number of different formatting options, but I have already drafted up my text in Word. So all I need to do is go and copy it from there. Paste it right in, and notice that all of the formatting carried right over. I also have an image in my file browser that I'd like to bring into this canvas. So let's go ahead and pull that up. This is the one, and I can drag and drop this right here. And this has generated an image web part for itself, which is great because I actually want to move this image to the right of my text. So all I need to do is say Edit Section, change this to a 2-column section, and then I can drag and drop this image to the location of my choice. And also I have the option to resize this image to my preference. Here we have a people web part, and I'm going to specify the hackathon contacts here. That's going to be Megan and Alex. And finally, I want to provide some additional resources for the reader of this news post. So to do that, I can use our wiki linking capability that allows page authors to bring in other pages and news posts in just a few keystrokes. So let me show you how you can do that. You need to use the standard wiki linking syntax, which is open brackets, open brackets. This intelligently suggests some content to you. You can type to filter, and just like that, it's linked. Let's do that again for another post I want to add on here. Great. And so now the content of this news post is ready to go. However, I don't want to publish this news post till the CEO has announced the hackathon at her North America town hall. And so to do that, I can leverage our page scheduling capability. You can go to page details, and you can see there is an option here to toggle scheduling on. Here, I can give it the date of the town hall, which is June 5th. Give it a time, 11 a.m., so that the news post goes out concurrently with the announcement. And notice that the post news button up here changed to say schedule. Also recall, this is a hackathon for employees based in North America, and I can use audience targeting to ensure that this news post is highlighted to the right audience. So you see there is an audience property here. I'm going to put in the O365 group for North America employees. Great. So now when this news post publishes on schedule, it's going to show up for the right employees throughout the intranet. So let's go ahead and click on schedule, and soon I get the confirmation that this news post has been scheduled to publish at the date and the time that I specified. By the way, I also want to point out that once this news post is published, you can come in here and share this news post by email so that employees that live and work in their inboxes also find this news post. And now we're going to talk about SharePoint home sites. Home sites are communication sites under the hood on which you run a PowerShell command to give it some additional capabilities that make it particularly useful as the landing for your intranet. Let's jump in and take a look. The home site is a personalized and engaging gateway to the rest of your intranet. Here we are on Contoso Electronics' home site, which is called the landing. And I'll first give you a tour of what's on here. We'll begin with branding. So branding is a really important part of any home site, and you can see that the landing has a custom site theme that reflects Contoso Electronics company colors. You can also see that there is a site logo over here. And now I'm actually going to scroll down to show you the branded footer on this site as well. And by the way, as I scroll, notice that the header became shy to save screen space. So here we have the branded footer with lots of important links. One that I particularly love is the send story ideas. This is just a great touch towards helping your employees feel connected to the content that's on this site. Let's now scroll back up to talk about the mega menu. So this is the mega menu, and in this case, I'm actually an editor on this site. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in edit mode and scroll down and show you that you can enable audience targeting right here on your mega menu. This means that any link in the mega menu can have audiences that it's relevant for, allowing you to build a really personalized navigation experience on your home site. Of course, the home site has news right here, and then further down over here as well. Both of these news web parts can be audience targeted. There are stream videos here on the home site. Further down, we have conversations happening directly on the home site, and employees can like and jump into conversations right from here. Now, these conversations are powered by the new Yammer Conversations web part. And you can see that the refreshed look and feel of Yammer is available right here on the home site. As I've been scrolling up and down, you may have noticed this new design element in SharePoint that we've added with the home site on the left called the vertical section. Now, the vertical section is available on all SharePoint sites, but we built it with the home site in mind, as it creates this great interplay between the we space and the me space on a home site. What do I mean by that? Well, on the left here, you have content that's relevant for all employees, the we space, some of which can, of course, be audience targeted to specific groups of employees. And then on the right here in the vertical section, you have content like my frequent sites, my recent documents, saved for later, content that's heavily personalized to every employee, hence the me space. Now, this home site, because it is just a communication site, was super easy to put together. But a home site is a very special communication site. You can think of it this way. It comes with all the advantages and capabilities of a modern communication site, but with some added superpowers. So what are some of those superpowers? The first is search. So when a communication site is designated the home site, the search scope for that site expands to the entire organization. So when an employee comes here and searches for something in this bar, they get results from the entire tenant. In fact, when I click in, and even before I have searched for anything, I get great zero query suggestions from sites that I frequent, files I recently use, people I work with, etc. Second, the home site is automatically designated a source of organization news. As a reminder, that means that when a news post is published directly to the home site, it is distributed broadly to the news feeds of all employees in their SharePoint start page and their SharePoint mobile app. And additionally, wherever that news post rolls up, it has that special visual highlighting behind the site name. The home site also has easy access in the SharePoint mobile app. When you launch the app, there is an icon that takes you directly to the home site, thus helping employees stay connected with the organization even as they are on the go. And speaking of easy access, there is one thing that we highly recommend you do. Notice this branded link on the suite nav that says Contoso Electronics. Now, this branded link can be set up in the admin center, and it's actually linking back to the home site, which is great because whether an employee is in OneDrive, in Word, they always have this branded link available. They can click on it, and this brings them right back to the home site. So they're always sort of grounded in this top-level intranet experience. And with modern SharePoint, it's really easy for you to spin up new sites. But just creating these sites is not enough. You want to be able to organize and connect them across your intranet. And you do that with SharePoint hubs. Let's see how. Here we are on the Give site, which is connected to the Marketing Hub. And you can tell because of this middle layer of navigation that exists between the Suite Nav and the site header. In fact, this is the Hub Nav that's shared by all of the sites that are part of this hub. The Give site is a communication site where employees come to learn about and contribute to the Give program at the company. And as you can see, the Give team has put in a lot of time and effort into designing this beautiful site and building it. However, this program has now had a change in ownership. It's gone from the marketing org to being owned by the global sales org. Fortunately, with hub sites, it's super easy to change site associations so that the structure of your intranet can reflect the structure of your organization. All you need to do, if you have the right permissions, is go to the gear and then go to site information. And you can see that this site is currently associated with the Marketing Hub. Just change that to global sales and hit save. And in a matter of seconds, you can see that the hub navigation is going to update to that of the Sales Hub. The theme is going to update to that of the Sales Hub, and the new theme colors flow right through this site. And the Sales Hub has actually started pushing down a site design to our Give site. Let's now go to that Sales Hub. Here we are. And you can see it has that same theme, that same navigation. If I scroll down, you can see the hub site has a news web part that's actually rolling up news posts from all of the sites that belong to this hub. Further down, we have an events web part here that's rolling up events from other sites that are part of this hub. And the search scope of this site is actually all of the sites associated. So this means that when you come and search for something here, the results are going to be pulled from sites associated to this hub site. We'll go ahead and refresh this site now. I must take this opportunity to reiterate just how powerful hubs are. They roll up content like news and events from across the hub. They push down a level of consistency in theming, in navigations, in permissions, and they can help enforce business processes across the hub. If you'd like to learn more about information architecture, governance, or even how to train folks in your organization about SharePoint, you can go to docs.microsoft.com/SharePoint to learn more.
Thanks, Debjani. Nothing beats seeing this all in action. So we've shown you some best practices and some demos on how to get started on your intranet building journey. But now let's hear from a customer who's done this in real life to hear their story. Recently, Matt sat down with some of our friends at Standard Bank, Africa's largest bank, to hear about their experience building out their intranet. I think you'll find some good best practices and some helpful tips. Let's give it a listen.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our conversation with Standard Bank. We're going to be talking to Standard Bank over the course of a 4-part series about their journey in building and delivering an intelligent intranet to their organization. Today, we're going to kick things off by talking about how Standard Bank got started and some of the challenges that they encountered along the way. And today, I'm really pleased to be joined by 2 guests from Standard Bank, Ian Doyle and Jenine de Klerk. Ian, if I could ask you to introduce yourself first.
Thank you, Ben. It's good to be in contact with you again. My name is Ian Doyle. I form part of the technology organization, Standard Bank, and I focus largely on the employee experience and the digital workplace.
Great, and welcome, Ian. Jenine.
Hi there. Yes, I'm Jenine de Klerk, and I am part of the group marketing and communication area within Standard Bank Group. I specifically look after group platforms that is both internal and external, so customer facing and staff facing environments. And internally, specifically, I look after all business lines, corporate functions, and countries. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Well, thanks again for joining, and that's a really good reminder as to why I invited the 2 of you. You've worked together on this intranet, and I know that you've been through this journey and have learned a lot of lessons and a lot of insights. I thought that would be really helpful for those who are embarking upon a similar journey now to hear directly from you and learn from your experiences. The other reason that I invited you, quite frankly, was the relationship that the two of you have working together on your intranet. I think it's a really good example of how IT, and Ian, you're representing that part of the organization, can work with the business, in this case, Jenine, from a marketing standpoint, to deliver an amazing intranet to the organization and to its employees. So to kick us off here, Ian, it would be great for you to share how you got started on this journey at Standard Bank.
Matt, yes, it's got a long history, and one that could probably date all the way back to the financial crisis of 2008, and it seems like we're perhaps into another one in this COVID era. But at that particular point, we were very focused on our cost base as a bank, and it largely provided us with a challenge to effectively get maximum usage of the various contracts that we had. And specifically on the Microsoft contract, we felt that we weren't able to get full value of the software that we were entitled to at that particular point. And we opted to take a sabbatical for a number of years. And that actually helped us quite a lot. By the time that we opted to return into the Microsoft fold, we had effectively had an opportunity to get into the cloud space, specifically with Office. And Office being in the cloud allowed us a sort of re-entry, and we really haven't looked back since then. We've certainly created and continue to create a lot of value of the platform.
Thanks, Ian, and welcome back to the fold. Now, going on a journey like building your intranet, I know there's a number of different stakeholders and colleagues that you need to bring along. And one of the things that I've observed is it's so important to make sure that everyone that's participating in your project is fully grounded in the art of the possible. Without this, people won't bring their best ideas forward, or there could be some missed opportunities. So it'd be great if you could share with us how you brought your colleagues in and your stakeholders and help them understand the art of the possible to get their full participation.
Yeah, that's right, Matt. If I look back to where Jenine and I started in this process, we were a little like kids with a toy that was still in its box. And so before we had really even got to grips with how Office even works, in fact, we had hardly even seen parts of the components, we were doing a lot of show and tell. And through that process, we spent a lot of time with the business doing envisioning sort of workshops. And ideally, we kind of paused there to get them to future-proof how they saw technology helping them solve certain business problems. And through that process, we constantly went back and validated how technology was helping them take friction out the environment and ultimately solve business problems. And it's a method that we keep using. So that's part of the initial phase of the journey.
Great, and I know we're going to return to talking about how you can start to envision different scenarios using the technology, but I think that is such a powerful approach to making sure that you're getting the most out of what's possible with an intranet. So Jenine, if I could ask you maybe to share a little bit about some of the challenges that you encountered along the way. I know it wasn't all smooth sailing, no large project like this ever is. If you could share a couple challenges that were most prominent.
Matt, so there were two major challenges that we had, and I'll categorize them into technology and stakeholders. So when it came to stakeholders, actually let me start with technology first. When it came to the technology front, when we started digging to understand what it is that we were dealing with, the legacy environment that we were dealing with, we found over 9,000 SharePoint and HTML sites, and they were all on different technology stacks. Over 1 million published pages that we could find. So I'm sure as we switch off environments and rebuild and so on, we're still getting some coming out of the woodworks there. So if you've got that you're dealing with, so it was a spaghetti bowl of environments that we could find. You're looking at costs, you're looking at building and maintaining those environments throughout the organization. So who looks after them, which means that you've got different levels or standards that you're sitting with. A lot of environments were built and then left as ghost towns. So they were built, used maybe once off for a project or something, and then just left there. And then they were they were publishing environments. There were little or no governance. Privacy and security controls weren't put in place. There was no universal look and feel, so completely fragmented UX. Then finding the site owners when we started digging was a bit of a nightmare. It was a tough job there, because we needed to understand and determine what content we needed to migrate, obviously, and yeah, where to migrate to. So here's the thing: not everything should be a publishing environment. Not everything should sit as a true intranet environment. There's other Microsoft technology and solutions in place that can house and look after closed spaces and as content repositories, etc. So we needed to find and go through all of that. And then, as I said, the multitude of tech stacks, that also meant that there was no easy way for us to migrate. Then on the stakeholder front, obviously, we battled to establish ownership within the business areas. And that resulted in a lot of time lost on creating the platform for action, for actually getting to a solution. The business was at different levels of knowledge and understanding. And then finally, I think there was a shortage of skills and capacity to own the journey, the journeys and the content. So, yeah, our stakeholders at different levels and at different maturity stages, etc. Now, you wanted to know how we dealt with these challenges. So, in the technology space, we looked at what stats we could find that was in place, and that was a challenge by itself, to understand the usage on platforms. So what were we dealing with? We did an audit to outline for us whether environments were true publishing environments or intranet spaces versus just project spaces, once-off use environments, content repositories, etc. Then we took the publishing environments and we put those onto the backlog for rebuild. And then everything else were either stress tested, so we put them into lock mode or etc. or go and archive them if we could see what kind of content was on there, and then wait. It was a little bit of a waiting game to see who came screaming at us to say, we can't function, or there's something that's now not operational. And then we decommissioned and archived or migrated to Microsoft Teams, for instance, as a platform environment. And then the intranet rebuild program obviously solved for efficiencies in cost, in build and maintenance efforts, and it looked at governance and best practices, as well as obviously your UX and enabling a universal standard for us as a complex universal or global organization. And then when it came to the stakeholders, what we did was we tiered them. So we put them into baskets, or into your baskets, and we looked at the different maturity levels. So the countries, business lines, and corporate functions, and where we understood which areas would need the most effort or hand-holding for us to almost operate as a shared service, versus which areas would be able to assist best in co-creating their platforms and then take on the content management after delivery from us. So yeah, that's
very interesting.
That's us.
When working on a new intranet project, there's a lot that you're going to discover in terms of other technology being used, and it's a really good opportunity to consolidate and rationalize onto a single platform and to speak to, with one voice to the company. I know, Ian, from our prior conversations, one of the challenges that you had shared and I had found quite interesting was finding this balance between satisfying the needs of the end users, ultimately, the employees themselves, and the stakeholders that had requirements as well for the intranet, and sometimes how that could create some tension. Could you share a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, Matt, there's always a a delicate balance between the business need and that of employees. And traditionally, we've certainly observed that businesses often assume that they know what the employees want and what employees need. So there's the delicate balance, I suppose, in a program of this nature, where you've got to be able to service the business need, but provide the content in a way that the employees will actually consume it. So as part of that, as a bank, we've certainly had to focus on probably two dimensions. The one is to communicate, and as a highly regulated organization, there's an obligation that we communicate certain data sets to our employees in certain segments on a frequent basis. But our preference is often around the pool method, where people can configure, I suppose not unlike what we would do in our current personal day lives around configuring news feeds, be it something through sports or more current news. And we're opting to give employees those choices as well, so that the content that they get presented with is relevant for them. And we found that balance is working quite well.
That's such an important point that you make, Ian, about engaging end users in the process and making sure that their voice is heard in the design and delivery of an intranet. Whatever the digital experience is, even if it's not the intranet, it's so critical to having the end user front and center. And too many times I see that missed myself, and it definitely has a negative impact on the digital experience that you're building. Is there a specific example or moment where that tension really arose and you had to make some difficult trade-offs?
Matt, yeah, we've certainly seen situations where we spent a lot of time and effort in predefining what we thought employees would want. So one example was a news feed. We spent a lot of time in getting those resources out to employees, but we weren't finding them go there frequently. So as a result of that, we eventually wound down that part of the intranet site, and I think we've lent more heavily towards the self-service options. So getting content that's point in time, relevant for people, and I think that's a learning that we keep taking in, and we get exposed to those on a regular basis and keep self-correcting to what's relevant for us.
Yeah, the importance of iteration based on those learnings is also a key principle of a successful intranet, or any experience for that matter. Well, listen, this has been really, really insightful. It's been great to hear how you got started on the journey, some of the challenges that you overcame. I would invite our audience to tune in to the next set of episodes. We are going to be talking with Ian and Jenine about how they aligned with stakeholders, how they went about designing and implementing their intranet, and of course, how they engaged their audience to get end users and employees ultimately using the intranet and getting value from it. So tune in, and again, thanks Ian and Jenine for today's session.
Thank you, Matt. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Matt. I look forward to the next time.
What a great start to our interview. And just remember, our friends at Standard Bank will be joining us for every part of this web series. So what do you think? If you're ready to get started, I invite you to first check out our new technology and resources for what's possible with SharePoint and Microsoft 365. I think you'll find some good stuff there. And secondly, check out our SharePoint lookbook for inspiration, downloadable templates, and provisioning sites that you can bring into your own intranet portal. You can check out the SharePoint lookbook at aka.ms/SharePoint/lookbook. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you're excited as we are to help you along this SharePoint journey, but most of all, we hope you feel supported and have the resources you need to be comfortable in taking whatever step you're in. Join us next time as we dive into how to align your key stakeholders. See you then.